Like I was saying, issue I discussed yesterday during the Monday Sundays of the various denominations. So it was the guy's mother's mothering Sunday, and then he gave the wife money to get some to get a good fabric for the mom, wrapper material. And then she went and bought. And then he was grumbling and complaining that look at what she bought for the mom and it's substandard. So I now had to ask her how much was it. And she said she bought high target, that the husband gave her 4,000, or she bought it for 4,500. So she even added 500 to buy. I said, okay, if you gave 4,000 for a fabric, what kind of material will you be expecting back?
Expecting to get 30,000.
Oh, 4,000. Then when it was the turn of her own mom for their mothering surgery, he now went himself and bought the fabric. Then the lady said she was asking him, um, he now came back and told her, you see what it is to buy a good fabric. And then he refused to show her until they got to her parents' house. And then when he brought it out and gave to the mom and all that. So the bottom line is this. Why will we always have that dichotomy or that suspicion of each other? But when it concerns your family, you want to do it right. When it concerns my family, then anything goes. I don't think that should be the case. Peradventure, there is a person who is doing that, then the person does not have the mindset of marriage. What I see is once you get married, two families have become one. Your parents-in-law are automatically your parents. Same for the man. Your wife's parents have also become your parents. So whatever you would ordinarily do for your parents, extend it to them if you have the means and wherewithal to do that. If we keep doing that, there wouldn't be room for that suspicion. And in recent times, I see couples, when they are getting married, they make exactly the same clothes for both sets of parents so that you don't have one complaining that you got me an inferior material than what the other parents are. Then another angle to it is from exactly the same people, because it was the lady that came seeking counsel, and then she was sharing this. I later had a session with them together. When his mom was coming, he now decided to go shopping himself and asked the wife to make a list and bring. Whether he felt that she would not buy exactly the kind of things he would have wanted her to buy. And the wife felt a bit offended and delayed in bringing forth the list. Then it got to a point that the man began to issue threats and said, if you don't give me the list, then none of your family members will come to my house. It's because you know my mom is coming. That's why all
Let
this
him
is
Google the list now.
happening. Why I say this, if we don't have the right mindset and disposition and have the right kind of attitude towards marriage, you'll be having issues once it has to do with your in-laws. In-laws have become extended family. There's even an adage or proverb in Igbo that refers to in-laws where they say Ogo Buchionyi, meaning your in-law is your God or is your savior. That's to tell you to what extent we revere our in-laws. During burial ceremonies, any of the things that happen, a man is always particular about his in-laws, the in-laws that are coming for condolence. You prepare for them, you take good care of them and all of that. Likewise, when something happens in the woman's side of the family, you go with your own family too, and you also expect to be treated well. I believe that in things of marriage, it should be the two hands washing each other, or when the right hand washes the left, when it is the turn of the left can also wash the right. So that everybody will be happy in the bargain. But if you're constantly doing my own, creating that dichotomy that should not be there, that's one of the things that really causes a problem. And then people begin to be suspicious of it. You didn't treat my parents well. You spoke to my parents in an why are they your parents? They are also your spouse's parents as well. So if your spouse disrespected your parent, your spouse actually disrespected his or her parents. There's no two ways about it, and we all have to have that understanding. I know that there will be differences in terms of background and makeup and because of where we come from, but without coming together. So the family should also be closely knit. So these are some of the issues that come up and then cause a lot of friction. Where ordinarily, where there's understanding, that friction should not be there. I don't know if you agree with me.
Yes, Lord, I do.
Is there any other major cause of friction between families as a result of marriage or in-laws, so to say?
Yeah. Dishonesty, which you've touched on.
Okay, this
Dishonesty
honest on whose part?
on either side.
Either side, the man or the woman.
Yes.
So if you can be a bit more expressive.
If you lie to your spouse about something and
Mm,
he later finds out, maybe he said things that your family is not.
okay,
Do you get it? It can cause problem. It can also lead to mistrust.
okay.
Lies in marriages.
Yeah, that one may be some sort of on a lighter note. The main issue that causes that kind of friction is when you go behind and you're doing things for your family and your spouse is not aware
Or you tend to lie about it.
about it to cover up. But one day it will come out in the open. Like my husband shared an experience of one man that decided I wasn't going to marry the wife again after 22 years of marriage. Then what was the issue? He had to invite them over to his office and he began a counseling session. The man said that he didn't know he was living with a liar all these years. The woman was secretly building for her parents. Now I ask the question, if you and your spouse have an understanding, why will you go out on your own and begin to do things for your family and then your spouse is not aware? It could be either because he's not interested in what happens in your family. I'm referring to if it's the woman now. Either your spouse does not show much interest in what concerns your family, so you decide to go solo. Or or maybe because you're earning your own money and you feel you want to do things for your parents and perhaps your spouse will object. Again, probably because you two have not shown that much interest in what concerns his own family too. So these are the, for instance, when I needed to carry out some repair work in my father's house, my parents are late, yes, but I still have a sibling that is still at home. So and I felt the house needed a first lift. My husband and I discussed it normally, like every normal conversation. He said yes, it's a good thing to do. And then the work started until we completed it and refurbished and refurnished. We even took some of our old furniture that are still very good, which we now went and refurbished and did and sent on. But there was a time we now needed to change the furniture in his father's house. We bought a new one because that was what was needed as at that point. And it wasn't a big deal. How come the one that we sent to my home was a refurbished one? Then when it was time to buy for your father's house, we bought brand new one. Why should that be an issue? Where there is understanding, where you do things together. And it all comes back down to how we manage finances in the home. If a man is busy maintaining his own wing, excluding the wife because you believe it's the money. I worked hard for it after I was earning this bill before I married you. And it's a no no. The man lacks understanding. Once Bible did not make a mistake when he said two are better than one, for they will have a good reward for their labor. So those things you used to do alone, go solo, do your thing. Now you have a spouse, and then she can bring one or two ideas, and then you put your heads together, and then you go to work, and you have a good result, and you're both happy. If for nothing else, even for the sake of your health. Because if you're concealing something from your spouse, how can you have peace?
Okay, can I ask a question now?
Okay.
Okay, what would you have done if your husband had said no to that idea of refurbishing your father's house?
Okay. Again, that is another area where there is unnecessary friction. If he says no, you pack it as at that point in time. Maybe he hasn't yet seen your reason. You must not do it that time you want to do it. As long as your spouse says no, you leave it. Go back. Did you present the right reasons? Did I bring it up the right way? Am I asking for it at the wrong time? Are there more pressing issues for the family over and above what I want to do? These are some important considerations. There's no need to get away sulking, because it's my family now. If it's your family, we won't consider anything. Even if it's his family and he doesn't consider anything, so what? He's the head of the home and he has said a no. So because he's your spouse and you've lived with him for a while, so you should know his high moments and his low moments when you can present an issue. Go back and think about if that moment time is not right. Even when he said no, what was his mood when he said no? Is it that something is bothering him or he didn't present it at the right time? We should always examine all the pros and cons of the situation before we bring a case. Like the couple I mentioned again uh, that I dealt with yesterday. One of the issues that was causing the friction between them before this was their gas was finished, and then the man was going out and he told the wife to go and get a gas, and she said no. How can she go and buy gas when he's there? I said okay. So after listening to her for a while, and then the man left, and that day when she didn't buy the gas, and because of that, they left off buying the house, gas in the house for 3 days. Waiting
They
for
don't have children.
who will first blame. They have a child, and then the child baby was suffering unnecessarily because they couldn't cook normal home food to give the child. So the child baby was living on cereal. And I said, without holding brief for your husband, it could have been the way and manner you presented your case made him to stand. I'm saying this now because of the earlier question you asked. I said, okay, I overheard you. Why? Because while we were talking, the husband called her and she said, babe. And I said, okay, I overheard you calling him babe. The husband, I've been saying, I don't know whether it's this age started calling babe, that marriage is started falling apart. The time we used to call my lord and all of that, we are having this kind of issues. When a man becomes a child, why would he be behaving like a child? Anyway, that's by the way. So I said, it's possible your tone and manner of speaking must have put the man off. And then he must have decided to teach you a lesson of life. If you had thrown it at him, how can you the man, be there and I'm going to buy gas? You're throwing a challenge. No man takes a challenge like that. And you are being disrespectful and you are dishonoring him. Even if you feel that what he has said to you is not right, there is a better way to get your own. Maybe after he has said it, you can more you keep quiet. Later you come back, sit in the chair or sit on the lap, put your hand across your shoulder and say, "Babe, look at it this way now. You're my head, you're my king, and you're stronger physically. Won't it look somehow me carrying cylinder going to buy gas and you're there? People around will be wondering. If for nothing else, let your strength as a man come out now. Me, I'm a weaker person. Now I'm asking you to show that your strength. Please now go and buy gas for me. It will not cost any, it won't take anything out of you. But for you to throw it back at you, how can you, the man, be there and you're asking me to go and buy gas? I mean, if you check it very well, most of the time, when some men stamp their feet and say, if I die, I die, is our manner of approach. Every man wants to feel like a king in his own, even if he's the most stupid man on earth. He wants, as far as the wife is concerned, for you to treat him like a king. Then when I was speaking to the husband later, because he too have his own issues, and I said, what the Bible tells you as a man, he said, husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge. Now tell what is that knowledge? God expects you at every point in time to be ahead in terms of thinking, in terms of looking at situation, in terms of understanding. If not dealt with your wife according to knowledge by insisting on, okay, if you don't want to go and buy the gas, let the family stay. I said the two of you should feel ashamed of yourself. That because of maintaining your position, you allow a child to suffer. If you were living in foreign clime, this welfare will come and take this child away from you and say you're not capable of being parents. But at first, when I called the man on the phone, I said, can you just go and buy the gas? For the fact later we'll talk about it. He said, okay, mom. I said, I'm going for weekly service. If I come back, we'll talk in the night. I called him in the night. The first thing I said, did you buy the gas? He said, yes. I said, for accepting, for honoring me, for respecting me, I'm going to do that. I doff my heart for you. If you do men, if you treat men like this all the time, no woman will be having an issue. But if you keep talking down on him, making him feel small, making him feel like your son or your daughter in the house, so there's no difference between the man and your child. So he will go out there. He say what the men usually do is that they pretend they don't exist in that environment. They do their own thing, go their own way, won't discuss issues with you, and just let you be until you learn to honor and respect them, then they will come back to you. But I use the opportunity and said, it takes a little to make a woman happy. Just a little. I say, we women, we are not even asking for too much. Just show us a little more understanding. Eh? That's why God asks you to dwell with us according to knowledge, which means you need to understand how a woman is wired. What is the makeup of her? How does her mind work? And you're always ahead of her and doing the right thing. I said, if you don't know how to be romantic, go and learn. Like, is it a crime to show love and physical appreciation to your wife? He was laughing over the phone. I said, it doesn't take, if you don't, go and read tapes, buy books and read. Learn it because I've seen you rely, you're rigid and you can't be in love when you are. I said, okay, when you were chiking her, what were the things you were doing that made her say yes? Do you think you were maintaining distance and then she still said yes to you? Is it possible? They were laughing all the way. I've lightened the atmosphere, but I've passed my message. This life is easy and simple if only we adopt the right attitude. So if my husband says no, I will retreat. I won't take offense. I won't sulk. It may hurt me deeply that he even had the idea, the thought of even saying no in the first. I will feel hurt. But I'll go back and think because I like to reason things out. I always feel that every human being acts rationally. That for every action a human being takes, there is a reason for it. So I go back and think, what could have been going on in the person's mind when he took such a decision? I will present it in another way at a different time, not immediately.
So you buying time helps.
Yes, like I'm trying to analyze the situation. If a man is going through things, perhaps maybe going through difficult time at work or struggling with finances, and then you come and present such a thing, you'll be like a woman who lacks understanding. So there is time for everything. Sometimes he tell you, grab go there, not now, just hold on, not now, we'll do it later, or we'll discuss it later. Don't go bugging him, wanting to do it now, because that's how you want it. It doesn't always work that way.
Okay, in this example you gave, mommy, did you ask the guy why he refused to buy the gas initially? What was his reason?
The first thing he said when I started asking is, my wife is stubborn and she's always disrespecting me. I now said, without the man being present when I was talking with you, I told you, it must have been the way and manner you spoke that got to him. Nobody is an animal. Nobody is a, everything is about how we, you see all these generals that we use, it's the military people that we take to have very hard exterior. All this, it takes a little to break a man with a hard exterior if you know how to get to him. But most of the time, we are not patient enough to use that power that we have as women. Women are very powerful, but unfortunately, we don't utilize our powers very well. How you know a woman who is utilizing her power very well is 10 minutes with the husband, 20 statements, 15 statements, my wife this, my wife that, my wife. It doesn't come on a platter of gold. It takes a lot of work. And if you talk with that woman, you find out that it wasn't easy. There were some things she learned, which she began to apply, and it was working for her. But our young ladies of these days, they're not ready for those kind of things. And that's why there is so much issue and challenges in marriage.
Yeah.
If you ask me, men are better persons than
Mm.
women. You know, it's difficult for a man to hold on to a grudge for too long. I know that there are exceptions to the rule.
Mhm.
But they say something you did to a woman 10 years ago is still somewhere in the depth of our heart, waiting for opportunity to come out to the fore. Men just let things go easy. Women, we don't let go. Especially if it has to do with matters of the heart. This happened, I don't know the time that God, I don't know whether because God created us more multifaceted. So because we have to create room in our hearts to love our husbands, love our children, love our in-laws, love our spouse's friends, love his work, love everything about him. So in the process, some of the pieces of the heart is being broken along the way. But the man is a one-track one. Just whatever he chooses to love, he puts his love on it. If his work is his first love, that's where the love lies. Every other thing is an appendage. I don't know if that one is good though. But that's what makes it difficult for them to carry baggages. They don't, baggages are distractions to them. That's why if you sit a man down now and start recalling what he said to you, the man is like, what's going on, when, where, how? It's not that he's feigning it, it's just that he didn't consider it important enough to keep. Ordinary thing as you want to have a conversation with the man and he's not looking at you straight in the eye, it's a problem for the woman. If the man will start listening, say, you're not listening, look at me, eyeball to eyeball. If the man is either holding something or trying to fix something in the car or looking at the TV he's listening. It's not only when he makes eye contact with you that once he tells you I'm listening, go on, he's listening. But you want him to stop every other, the whole world should stand still because Her Royal Majesty wants to speak. And we don't always get it. It's difficult.